My father took me to court over my grandfather's $11 million estate. Your Honor, she's just a waitress, my father said. The judge smirked. A waitress managing millions? People laughed. Then I stood up and said, I am, and the judge fell silent. For 6 months, I worked 3 nights a week at the same diner 4 miles from my apartment. Same section every shift. Same regulars, same orders. Coffee, turkey club, Charlie's. I knew their names, their kids' names, their complaints about the weather. My father had a PI parked outside during most of those shifts. I noticed the car around week 3 and didn't say anything. I already knew what he was building. My grandfather died in February. He left me the majority of his estate. Real estate, investment accounts, a bond portfolio assembled over 30 years. Just over $11 million. He left my father a portion too. Not nothing, but not equal. My father had been expecting equal, maybe more, and that gap had been widening long before the will was ever read. He filed the petition 6 weeks after the funeral, challenged my capacity to manage assets of that size. His attorney framed it as concern, the kind that sounds reasonable until you listen closely. I didn't respond when he filed, didn't call, didn't hire my own attorney. I showed up alone with a single folder and sat at the respondent's table, while my father arranged himself in the second row like he was watching something already decided. The photographs came out first. Me behind the counter, me wiping tables, me carrying a tray to a booth by the window. His attorney had timestamps and a 3-week surveillance pattern showing consistent, low-wage employment. He used the phrase financial sophistication 3 times. He said stability. He said judgment. He let those words do the work without ever saying the quieter thing underneath, that a woman in an apron with $4 tips had no business being trusted with $11 million. The judge looked at the photos, then at me. A waitress managing millions, he said. The room laughed. My father didn't, but the corner of his mouth moved. I let it land. I didn't object. I've learned that the most useful thing you can do when someone commits fully to a wrong assumption is let them finish. My grandfather used to say most people stop looking once they think they have the answer. They find the piece that fits the story they already believe and stop turning things over. My father had done that my whole life, taking the most visible version of me and deciding it was complete. So I let him build the whole thing. Let him stand in that courtroom with his folder and his surveillance photos and his attorney's careful language. Let the judge make the joke. Let the room laugh. Then I opened my folder. One document. I handed it to the bailiff, who passed it to the bench. The judge looked down. His expression didn't perform surprise. It shifted. My federal law enforcement credentials. 12 years as a special agent in the Financial Crimes Unit. Active, current, valid. The Financial Crimes Unit doesn't investigate street-level theft. It investigates fraud, layered accounts, falsified documents, contested estates. The kind of work that requires someone who understands exactly what they're looking at. I had worked 3 cases in the past 2 years involving disputed inheritance. I understood the architecture of what my father was attempting because I had spent 12 years watching people attempt it. I let that settle before I spoke. Your Honor, I said, I don't just wait tables. I spent 12 years investigating people who try to steal exactly what my father is attempting right now. The room went completely still. My father turned around slowly. I don't know what he expected to see. I wasn't angry. I was just looking back at him the way I'd looked at 100 people across interview tables, steady, waiting to see what they'd do with the information now that they had it. His attorney leaned over and said something quiet. My father didn't respond. The judge set the document down and looked at opposing counsel. The attorney opened his mouth, closed it. You can't run a capacity challenge against someone whose career is built on dismantling exactly this kind of case. The petition was denied 19 minutes later. I packed my folder, thanked the judge, and walked out. My father was still in his seat when I passed the second row. There was nothing to say that the last hour hadn't already covered. My grandfather never stepped in early. He waited in doorways, arms crossed, watching to see whether you'd handle it yourself. He didn't leave me his estate because I asked for it. He left it to me because he'd spent years watching how I moved through difficulty, and he knew the answer long before anyone thought to ask the question. My father saw the diner and stopped there. He never looked past what confirmed what he already believed. That was the difference.